Welcome to Who Cares, the podcast that embarks on a profound journey into the heart of empathy and indifference in our modern era. Each episode of Who Cares brings you insightful conversations with a diverse array of guests from various industries and walks of life. But Who Cares goes beyond individual stories. We dive into the larger societal and psychological undercurrents that have led to a perceived decline in collective empathy. Who Cares isn't just a podcast. It's a powerful call to action for reigniting the spirit of empathy within each of us. Let's find the answer to Who Cares together. Welcome to Who Cares. Welcome to Who Cares. Today we have Piper, the CEO of Hand and Paw, and today you will learn a lot about how animal rescues run and all the challenges she faces. Thanks for watching. I can't imagine a better person to do this podcast with, having so much care and empathy and community involvement in the things that you do. I don't know if you're aware of what our podcast is about, but it kind of got started because, I started noticing there were a lot of people checked out, very disconnected from their feelings and from the community, not having any connection to anything, to people. It just seemed like everywhere you go, it started to feel like a number. And, you ask somebody something and they just look at you like you're crazy. So it really started to bother me, to try to figure out, was it the pandemic that caused this? Was it generational things that are going on nowadays? Was it technology? The things that are supposed to be bringing us closer together are not doing so. And so that's kind of how we got started on this venture and learning more and trying to connect with people in the community that are very connected to other people, to the community, to their careers, to their passions. And you're definitely one of those people. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about the history of Hand and Paw, which is your rescue.
Yes.
And how you got it started and what's happening now.
Yes. So I started Hand and Paw 12 years ago. I always, from a very young age, found myself picking up animals off the street, fixing them up, and either finding them homes or keeping them myself. But that was never my career. I never thought that could even be something that I could do. I studied mostly autism, psychology. I was a behavioral therapist for autistic children and adults for a while, and then I was a police officer because I was very interested in forensics and forensic psychology. And then I left that and became a chef. And I was a private chef and a restaurant chef for many years. But I was also on the side volunteering with a shelter. But I didn't know, it was a no-kill shelter. So I had no idea the scope of the problem. And all it took was one Facebook post. And, I wasn't connected to people in rescue at the time. This was 12 years ago. And I saw a post about a dog in a shelter that had a deformed leg and was going to be put down at like 3 p.m. that day. Oh. And I was reading through the comments, and it was just, and I'm not exaggerating, it was 5,000 comments of people just saying, somebody go get the dog, somebody do something. And it was so frustrating for me. I was at that time a chef, and I was working really long hours. And I was just looking at these comments like horrified. How are you all just saying, somebody go do something? I can't do anything. Somebody go do something. And so I thought, okay, I'm tired of this. Time's running out, and I'm going to go down. It was Orange County Shelter. And I went down there, and I got the dog out. And he needed leg surgery. He needed his leg amputated. So I put out a plea that I had rescued him and that the surgery was going to cost this amount of money. And I raised that money in 3 days and got him surgery. I had him up for adoption, and I was just so protective of him. And I was so new to rescue that I ended up keeping him.
Yeah.
But that's what got me started. And then from that point forward, I started getting more and more posts. And then I realized, wait, this isn't just a one-time thing. This is millions of dogs around the country, around the world. And people started saying, hey, I saw that you took this dog. Can you take these dogs also? And then I started taking more and more dogs.
Wow.
And then I had to quit my job because it was too much.
Yeah.
At one point, because I was so new to it, and I didn't. It was so emotional to see all the dogs that needed help that no one was helping, and I felt like I needed to do it all. And I really lost my sense of balance. I at one point had like 18 dogs at my house.
Wow.
And I was having a really good turnover rate because I started posting online community pages and getting people to come to my house, do meet and greets, and then getting adopted out.
Yeah.
And that just sort of snowballed into Hand and Paw. And then, since then we've saved over 5,000 dogs in 12 years. So, and as my reach grows, we've branched out into Mexico and China, Iran, international.
Wow.
But there's plenty to do here in LA, that's for sure. But yeah, I love what I do. It is by far the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life, but it is not for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So have the numbers changed? Are they still those amounts? Or are they higher, lower?
Now it is the worst it has ever been. And so I feel like, I've been busting my ass for 12 years. And obviously, we've made changes for those lives that we've taken in. And there are hundreds, thousands of other rescues doing the same thing. And we're all doing our best.
Right.
But the shelters now are more crowded than they were when I started.
Yeah.
And I think a large part of that is COVID. And I think the economy, people are losing their homes. It's gotten so bad. And it's very disheartening.
Do you notice that? I think the initial thing you said was that you noticed all these comments on Facebook of people just saying, somebody do something, Is that still your experience?
Yes.
It is still your experience.
I have been very lucky to find some amazing people in the community and locally that are willing to foster. And that's my number one need in the rescue, because I don't have a facility. I think that a foster-based rescue is the best way to go, because these dogs need to have that family environment in order to learn how to be a family dog. It prepares them adequately to become a family dog. So I found fosters, but overall, it's like people just say, "Oh, I'm not equipped to foster," or "I'm not equipped to help." There's fostering. That's the most important thing. Donors are obviously much needed, because all of our money goes to the vet.
Right.
We take in some really big medical cases that need vet help. But without the fosters, we have no place for those dogs to go.
Right.
But in terms of people willing to help, I feel like still people don't, for the large part, they want to pass off the responsibility. Like, someone do something. And I don't know why that is.
Do you think there are myths about fostering, the animals? Like, it's going to take up too much time, or I can't devote that, or I can't do this, or do you think people lack maybe self-esteem about it, or feel inadequate to handle an animal?
I think that, there's a few reasons.
Okay.
Number one I hear is, I'm going to get attached to the animal.
Yeah.
And I can't let it go.
Yeah.
And we have many, many fosters who just end up adopting the dog, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's like best case scenario, and I always give fosters the first right to adopt.
Yeah.
But to avoid fostering altogether because of that reason,
Right.
it doesn't fly with me, because we're literally talking about life and death for an animal.
Right.
And at the rate that these dogs are being euthanized in the shelter, I mean, the shelters, and it's not their fault. Everyone says, oh, these shelters are murdering the dogs. It's not their fault. It's the community. It's crappy dog owners. It's people who are not spaying and neutering their animals. But the shelters are so overrun. All the kennels are full, and then they have crates in the lobbies.
Yeah. Oh my
with
goodness.
large dogs that are getting one potty break in 24 hours. It's unbelievable. And then they're just euthanizing for space. And they are coming in. And the amount of calls that I get as one small rescue, I'm getting at least 50 calls a day of people trying to surrender their animals. And those are not the words they use. I'm trying to get rid of my dog or my cats or whatever it is. And the way that a lot of these people are so entitled, like call me and hey, I got 5 dogs. I need you to come pick them up right now. I'm animal control.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't know how it works, but it's also just, it's quite disgusting the way people are with their animals now. And ever since COVID, COVID was like the golden era for these dogs because I could not get dogs fast enough and get them adopted out. It was crazy and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Shelters were empty. As soon as COVID ended and people went back to work, they dumped their dogs. And I'm not talking about everybody, obviously.
Yeah.
But a lot of people.
So what could we learn on the outside about fostering that might change our desire to do so or a desire to run in and help? What would be something that people maybe don't understand about fostering?
Fostering is really simple. I supply everything if needed. A lot of our fosters have dogs already, so they're just they don't want the food, they don't want the beds. They already have like a very well equipped house.
Yeah.
But I do supply everything. There are no expenses that you would incur. Medical obviously I take care of, and then the dogs go to our adoption events every weekend. And typically our fostering is going to be a few weeks. For our more special needs dogs, it may be longer than that. But, you're going to be a part of that dog's life forever. And you are just preparing them for the best life they could possibly have. And so instead of saying, it's poor me, I'm going to miss this dog, of course, every dog I foster, it takes a piece of my heart.
Right.
But to be able to see them in their new family and stay in contact with them, which I just about always do, it's such a good feeling.
Yeah.
And again, like it really is the difference between life and death.
Yeah.
I have like 6 dogs right now, just alone this week alone, that I'm trying to get into fosters, and they are either in high kill shelters or they're on their way to high kill shelters. And if I don't, and like it's a helpless feeling because I can't do anything unless someone steps up. And and it's summer, so people are going on vacation and people don't have time. And I get that, but it's also it breaks my heart because a lot of these dogs are just not getting the chance. And the other misconception is that rescue dogs are somehow damaged.
Right.
And sure, some of them are going to have some issues, but for the most part, the dogs that are getting euthanized in the shelters are perfectly
fine.
Perfect. I mean, they're young. Some of these puppies, the most adorable. All dogs are adorable, of course, but the most adorable puppies that have no business even being there. And then on top of that, you have people that aren't even, I don't know the word, but decent enough to take their dog to a shelter for whatever reason, who just take them up to the canyon and dump them there.
Drop them,
And we've had more dog dumping in the last few months than I've ever seen. And, the Wash in Duarte, Azusa Canyon, it's disgusting. You don't love your dog. You're sending it to essentially die. And these dogs that we have found are the lucky ones. But
do you think these are people that have homes and they're taking the dog out and dumping it, or do you think this is a result of kind of our large unhoused population? Or what is your experience?
I don't know. I think that like just this week, a woman had a stroke and had to get sent to like a assisted living facility and had to leave all her animals behind or whatever. I mean, I don't know. She had to move out of the house, and the boyfriend took the shepherd and dumped it, but the dog found its way back home.
Oh my goodness.
And so, I mean, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
He didn't even make an effort.
Yeah.
And this is a wonderful dog.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I think people are lazy. They want a result right away.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that has to do with technology.
Yeah.
With all these social media platforms, all these the constant barrage of news and, you know, all this stuff 24/7. Everybody wants immediate gratification, and nobody has the patience for anything anymore.
Yeah. I think it would make it easier utilizing those systems to help find homes for, you know, even if you couldn't care for them on some level. But, you know, it is surprising to me the disconnect that happens between human and animal to the extent that I can just do that. I can just drop them off and I can just let them go. And, you know, what has to happen in the mind to make that disconnect that this is a vulnerable animal.
Yeah. People want... They don't do their due diligence at all.
Yeah. So how do you, I mean, after 12 years of seemingly it's the same thing over and over, keep from getting overwhelmed?
I am constantly overwhelmed.
You're constantly.
Wow. I mean, I haven't had an actual day off. It doesn't matter if I'm on vacation. I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
Coordinating rescues, you know, and my poor family. But if you're going to run an organization that is dealing with the life of these animals, you have to be on it all the time.
It's
Unfortunately,
life and death always.
I don't clock in and clock out. I'm constantly on, and you know, and I love it. There's no way I could disconnect from that.
But you love it.
I do love it.
You're overwhelmed.
I am
you
overwhelmed.
Love it.
I'm built for this. I'm built for it.
Okay.
You know, all my jobs, you know, therapist, police officer, chef, those are all, you know, maybe not the therapist thing is
high
not,
intensity.
Yeah. But police, obviously very stressful job. Even when I was a police officer, I was out there picking up strays. It's what I was meant to do.
Yeah.
But I can take a lot of chaos and stress, and I actually perform better. Yeah. But I have to always be doing something. No, but as overwhelmed as I get, and as I have days where I don't say I want to give up, but I do feel like, what am I doing?
Defeated.
I do feel defeated, especially when I have constant, like this week with all these dogs that I really, really, really want to help, and nothing is happening. Yeah. I feel defeated, and I feel like I'm letting them down. And I know it's not really true because I'm doing my best, but I have to really rely on the people around me who are willing to step up.
So what then gives you hope for this to continue on?
I know I'm never going to give up, because I can't. I mean, it's not that I have hope. It's just that I know that I am never going to stop. And
but you could, seemingly. I mean, people do. I mean, it gets, but there's some inner drive, I guess, that really fuels that for you.
There's no question for me. And I know that as I get the message out to more people, you know, it may not be a lot of people that come in and join and foster, but it's enough to keep it going.
Do you think that the missing piece is the education? Do you think people don't understand how easy it could be to foster? And then, you know, that maybe part of the fantasy is I've got to foster for months on end. And if I take, it's like hot potato. If I take the dog, then I can't, you know, finish. I can't be done. You know, that it's a money pit, that I won't be able to, you know, that I won't be able to afford it. I'm wondering.
No, because I'm pretty clear on that. I don't think that's it. I think that it's really just more of the emotional that they feel like they can't let go. But and for almost every foster, like the first time fosters going to be the hardest and almost always the one that they adopt.
Yeah.
And again, that's totally fine. But once you start getting into, like, I have one foster that I've had since the beginning. They're the best. For 12 years, they've been fostering. And I mean, they have a foster like 365 days out of the year.
Wow.
No matter what. And they're so amazing. They never say no.
Yeah.
And now they really get it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's in and out with a few days here and there. And so it's just a matter of getting used to it. And really trying to make it about the dog and not yourself.
Right. Well, I can imagine that's an amazing experience, being able to take on a dog for, even if it's just a few weeks, and being able to transition it to a loving family, knowing that it's going somewhere terrific, possibly. So, yeah, it's a shame that there can't be more of that understanding about it, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's so important.
This issue is bigger than all of us. I mean, truly, it's huge. I don't think people really understand how bad it is right now.
No, I've seen a lot of the pictures you post, and it's unbelievable to me that the one after the other, and the incredible abuse that occurs. It just is heart-wrenching. And
yeah, I mean, you almost don't want to believe it, like that people actually do these things.
Yeah. And maybe that's the reason for the disconnect, is you just can't believe that that's a human way to be in the world.
You're right. Yeah, I get messages sometimes like, I have to unfollow you. I can't see this stuff anymore. Wow. And it's like, well, okay, but I am posting. I really try to keep it positive. Like, I don't post dogs and then like let them go. Like, if I post a dog, I'm 100% committed.
Yeah.
And there is going to be a happy ending. Yeah. For the most part.
Well, the rehabilitation is unbelievable. Yeah. So the after pictures, you can't imagine on some of them it's the same dog, even. Yeah. You know, that I've seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you change their life forever. So I'm guessing that's the piece, and those are the stories that fuel your drive on some level.
Yeah. Those transformations are, that definitely keeps me going. What was I going to say? You said something.
I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say something before that. Oh my gosh. We were talking about. I don't know.
About fostering.
But I wanted to make a point about. Oh yes. Okay. So, when I post like, oh, this dog got dumped here, and people will say, well, how do you know it was dumped? It's probably lost or whatever. And a lot of times we have witnesses that watch a car drive up, dump a dog, or, hey, this dog was abused in Mexico. Well, how do you know? Because neighbors were videotaping it. And these people, I mean, we had one case where these people were videotaping the abuse to sell online. And there are people online who are buying these abuse videos. Like, that's what gets them off. How is that possible? How are there people like that? I don't know. Yeah. But it exists. We have lots of video documentation. Wow. And it's absolutely sick. And I mean, those videos, I can only watch them kind of after the fact, after I know that the dog is safe and okay. But
I don't even know how you can watch. Yeah.
I mean,
it's tremendously awful. My goodness.
Oh, it makes me angry.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. So maybe you can share a story of your work that is one of your favorites, or is there anything particular that you always remember?
Okay. Give me a second.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
so many. Oh my gosh.
I bet.
Sorry to break
take
for a
your
second,
time.
But is there any way that after you could put in pictures of a before and after?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let me think of a really really amazing before and after here.
I was thinking of that one that got you found something in his belly, like a bottle cap or something.
Oh,
but
Beezer.
Yeah. That whole story was incredible.
Gosh. Yeah, so that's a really, thank you. I would have not thought about him. So a lot of our cases come from Mexico, and people often ask me, why do you take the dogs from Mexico when there's so many here? Yeah. And yes, that is absolutely true. But over the years, I've created so many contacts with people in Mexico that like, I mean, you see these cases, you can't say no.
Yeah.
And there's one amazing lady that I work with up here. She runs a foundation called At Shoe Foundation. What she does is she gets the dogs off the street and then helps find a rescue for them to come up here. So one of them that we took, she sent me a picture. This was last Christmas. And she sent this dog that, I mean, this no hair. He had his nose cut off with a machete. He was so starving that he had rocks and a bottle cap in his stomach, and then bullets in his spine and rib cage. And he was just
those
on
pictures.
Yeah. And I mean, he looked horrendous, and like he couldn't even stand up. He was so weak, lacerations all over, and he is gorgeous now. And we had no idea what he would be.
I can't even believe that's the same dog.
Yeah, his face was so swollen. Like, I mean, his skin it looked like an elephant. Like it was so like scaly, and now he's like this. I thought he was gonna be a pit bull because his face was so swollen and like wide. And he's like this beautiful shepherd now.
Yeah, he's fluffy even.
Yeah. So, to give that kind of life to a dog that was literally, I mean, probably moments from dying, and the suffering that they endured for so long. And they learn how to be what a dog should be.
Yeah. And he was adopted?
He's still in foster care.
Oh, is he really?
But he also hasn't been to any of our events, so no one's really seen him. But I need to, I should probably get him adopted. Yeah. But he's happy.
He's getting settled, probably. Yeah.
He's still learning.
Because I would say he doesn't know even what it's like to be in a family or to have somebody be gentle towards him at this point.
Yeah, he was very, like, head shy. And like,
yeah. My goodness.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's just one out of, I mean, in Tijuana alone.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands on the streets that are starving. Not, I mean, they will just shoot the dogs in the street there.
Wow.
Yeah. It's, the laws don't apply down there, and honestly, they don't do much up here either.
I was going to say, the laws don't seem to do a whole lot for animals up here as well.
No. And animal control is not doing much.
Yeah.
I had a hoarding case recently. Horrible case. Mentally ill drug addict living in a garage with 30 plus dogs. Started with two dogs, and they just kept breeding and then inbreeding and inbreeding to 30 dogs. But he's not well. Living in a garage. There's no like ventilation.
Right.
They're, I mean, filth. Hoarded floor to ceiling.
Wow.
Not feeding them. So they had to turn on each other.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And he was violent. He didn't want any of the dogs to leave. And these dogs are filthy, flea infested, soaked in urine and feces, and scared out of their minds.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because they've had to fight to survive against each other.
Yeah.
And I called the police because he had weapons. I mean, it was really dangerous.
Wow.
And his own family is scared of him, but he was living in the garage, and his elderly mother, like 90-something, lived in the main house. But no one could tell him what to do because he's dangerous. Cops wouldn't help me.
They wouldn't do anything.
They wouldn't come in. They asked me, did he use his weapons on you?
Oh, my goodness.
What? You're going to wait until he stabs me, and then you're going to come in? Crazy. Animal control wouldn't come in. And so we had to wait until he left, and we took the dogs out little by little.
Oh, my goodness.
But, sadly, many of them died there.
Didn't make it.
And suffered horribly. And then there were a few that were pregnant, and, just a horrible situation. But in that situation, either law enforcement or animal control should be stepping in. This
Yeah,
is a
absolutely.
cruelty case.
Yeah.
They're not being fed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the stuff that I then have to take on because no one else will.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And stuff we have a loss for, seemingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why wouldn't animal control take hold or take care of that?
They said the shelter was full. I mean, yeah, okay, that it's full, but they are also in a very dangerous situation, and I don't think that they wanted to deal with all of that. And that's where I asked for the police to help, but they wouldn't either. So, then I have to put myself in that, and which is fine. It's a little different now that I have a son, but I used to love to do that kind of stuff. It's just now I'm a little bit less on the risk taking.
Really intense.
It is very intense.
Yeah. So what do you do for you through all this to maintain sanity? Because I would think day after day after day of this would just take its toll after a while.
My family. My family's everything to me. That's where I'm happy.
Yeah.
I like to drink bourbon. I mean, that's. I'm kidding. I'm not, but no, it is. I do my best, and I don't really let it get me down.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's important to have family support through all things like that. Yeah. Terrific. Well, what do you think in all this that we could put out to the communities to help with this, to give them a plan of action, to even in the smallest giving, what could they do?
Consider fostering.
Fostering?
Money's always.
Money's good.
All her money goes straight to the vet. I mean, it is. It's a hefty bill over there, but fostering is
most important. Okay.
And I mean, I'm here to support my fosters. I run every aspect of the rescue, so I'm very hands-on with everybody, and I'm just there to make this a happy and pleasurable and rewarding experience for people.
Wonderful. Well, I really thank you for being on today and sharing all these amazing stories and experiences, and I really appreciate everything you do to help with this and make a difference in all our lives with this.
We can all make a difference.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be huge. I think people put too much pressure on themselves. We can all be that someone that does something. People say, I can't, but why?
Yeah.
Ask yourself, really, can I not?
Yeah.
We can all do our part in some way.
Yeah. It's a matter of challenging yourself.
Yeah. We don't always have to be comfortable, and being uncomfortable a little bit is okay.
I like
because
that.
this is for
a
big...
something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that there's a reward at the end of that you may not be able to see at the beginning. But there's definitely a reward that comes from that.
Believe me, it's pretty special.
Terrific. Okay, so say somebody wanted to foster. What would their first steps be, and how would the process go?
Okay, so first step, reach out to me. I'm doing my adoption events every Sunday, so that's a good place to come and just see some of the dogs and then talk to me about it. And then I kind of interview the family to see, how often they're gone, what their needs are. Do you have other dogs? Do you have cats? Do you have kids? Whatever it is. I try to match up. I mean, even though it's just a foster, I really want to find the right match for each family. So, obviously a first-time foster is going to get a really easy turnkey type dog. I'm not going to throw them the
the challenges.
Crazy. And again, I am there every step of the way. So I'm available to come over and help or talk whatever time of the day. Everything is supplied. Food, beds, toys, everything. And I also do have an application online for fostering on our website, which is www.handandpawrescue.com.
Oh, okay.
And it's very, very simple.
Okay. And if they need vet care, you said you can intervene to help with that. Okay.
All vet bills are paid for, and I can typically take to and from the vet as well.
Okay. So there's a tremendous amount of support available. It's just having that physical place to stay and love, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Terrific.
Yeah.
That's good to know. So, Piper, this is really important information, and I'd really like our audience to know more about your organization and maybe where they can connect with you. So maybe if you could talk to them and let them know what's the best way to reach you.
The best way to reach me is on our website, www.handandpawrescue.com. And then also on Instagram, we are at Hand and Paw, and that's where we have all our current and old cases, and you can kind of see what we're doing at the moment and what we need help with the most.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor.